When it comes to skateboarding, or even specifically in this case, skateboarding related products, I usually don't experiment too much unless it's something that I feel like is going to be interesting for me to check out and might benefit me in some way, shape, or form. And I've really kind of started to branch out in the last few years because I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of got into like a weird spot where skateboarding, I didn't really like lose interest in it, but I was just kind of in a weird space of like, now what? Because I've been doing it for so long, skating the same stuff, and I just kind of felt like I was just doing the same things over and over. So I ended up switching boards back in, I want to say 2021, I think. Yeah, it was 2021. I went from skating popsicle shaped boards my whole life to now riding skateboards from a brand called Punisher Skateboards that I currently ride for now. And I'm actually wearing one of their shirts right now. So I started skating these shape boards, and then about a few months after I started skating those boards, I even started using deck rails, and I never used those for the longest time. And then I've also experimented by trying out things like different wheel sizes and shapes. I've even tested out rubber grip tape, which I actually just stopped using after like a year and a half, which I'll go into that more in a little bit here, but I've skated with rubber grip tape. I also tried out barefoot skate shoes, which I'm actually surprised that my review on those splay shoes got as many views as it did because I did not expect it to happen. But we actually have another thing that I'm going to be checking out in this video. So this kind of works out perfectly considering that I just went back to skating regular grip tape. I've only been on one session right now. I threw some Jessup back on my deck. But I got something in the mail, and I actually talked to this company on Instagram, and they were willing to send me this package to try it out and make a video with. But in this little package, which, yeah, it's kind of funny that it's something like paper thin, and it is skateboarding related. But this is something to help with a specific issue in skating. So I'm going to kind of go over to a little table right here, get a tripod set up, and we're going to open this up so I can show you guys what's inside. All right, so what do we have inside this package? So before I open this up, this is to help with an issue with skate shoes. Now, with me going back to skating regular grip tape, which the biggest reason I did that is because of my problem that I've been having for the last few months, where I've been kind of getting almost like vertigo, but where I was having a lot of problems with skating to where I'd get dizzy rolling up the things and before I would get ready to pop. And it had been going on for quite a while, and I kind of just got fed up with it and figured, do I want to just keep using what I'm using now, or do I want to go back to traditional grip tape, where as much as I enjoy the rubber grip tape, like the consistent flick, no grip thumb, obviously, like you don't have to worry about that happening, and you don't have to tear up your shoes. But with me getting dizzy constantly while skating, or at least having that feeling before I go roll up the things, I just wanted to be able to have a surface that was going to make me feel more secure, and that's the biggest reason why I'm going back to regular grip tape again. If it hadn't been for that, I would probably still skate the DKL rubber grip tape, but we're going back to Jessup. So I already shoe glued my shoes, and I had actually went ahead and did this before I got this little package. But the problem at hand that we are going to be tackling in this video is ripping shoelaces. Now, there's a lot of things you can do that I have seen and heard, and things that I do myself. The biggest one that I just do is if I have shoe glue like this I apply, which I do this because, again, going back to the whole experimenting thing, for the longest time I skated at Knees Maranas where they have the toe cap around the front, and I absolutely love those shoes because I flick really hard when I do skate and do flip tricks. So having that toe cap with that thickness, those shoes would last me a long time. And the last time I was going to go get a pair of those, the shop that I was going to actually didn't have any in my size at the time. So I ended up switching to a pair of Fallens, which I had never had before. I had I can't remember what the exact model name was, but it was a pair of Elliott Sloan Fallen footwear shoes. And I actually fell in love with those. Like, I actually really enjoy Fallen. I've had a couple skate shoes after I started skating Fallens that I've kind of experimented with, but as you can see, I went back to them. But to help kind of protect my shoes a little bit longer, I went ahead and did the shoe glue toe cap again, which I usually only do till about like here because I'm mostly worried about the area that I'm flicking at. But I intentionally didn't do, a lot of times when I do the shoe glue, I'll go over like the little eyelets right here to kind of help put like a little barrier, which obviously you can see I'm already wearing through the shoe glue there, so I'm probably gonna end up putting some more back on soon, but I wanted to do that after I made this video. So the product that we're gonna be using, or at least testing out, is to help prevent the issue of shoelaces ripping when you go to ollie or flick, pretty much anywhere where that sandpaper is going to be rubbing on the outside spot here. So let me set the shoe to the side. We're gonna go ahead and open this up. And let me see. These packages always throw me off because I keep forgetting there's like the little spot right here you can just pull it open from, even though I just ripped the shit out of these. All right, let me go ahead and get this stuff out of here. That's just the packing slip for that. So what I actually have here, and while you guys are looking at it, I just want to see if they left a note on here for me. So they actually left me a note on this, which says, "Thanks for the test and review. When you make your posts, please add company name as a collaborator. Thanks." Collaborator, I don't know why I said it so off. So the company that we are checking out is actually a brand called Nipple. So you can kind of see it right there. Try to get out of the light right here. So they pretty much are these, they kind of look like buttons, but they're these little buttons that you put in. So what you're gonna end up doing, or what I'm gonna be doing in this scenario, you pretty much apply them through the outside and make kind of like a loop on the inside here where they've come in at, and you lace your shoelace through that and then come back out on the inside. So you'll still have your shoelaces laced with your shoe, but they won't be coming out to the outside. So you can kind of see what I'm getting at now. This little piece right here will stay on the outside and pretty much take any force impact from constant flicking instead of it going straight to your laces. So I'm gonna go ahead and open these up so I can see what we're looking at here. I just want to make sure there's nothing else left in this package. I'm like really anal about that because I always want to make sure that there's nothing left behind before I throw things away. So yeah, you can see right here. So install the nipple, install the lace, and trim the nipples. So I don't know how well you can really see it on there, but you basically make a loop through the inside section, like I was saying before, and then you trim off the excess. And that little piece that's gonna stay on the outside is pretty much gonna take all the impact and wear and tear that your laces normally would. So let's see, and of course we get a cool sticker to go along with it, which I don't know if I want to use that yet, if I want to hold on to it, because that's actually fucking hilarious. So I'm gonna set that to the side here. Now, I just want to see what this looks like, because I can't tell from this alone, because there's kind of like they're not perfectly flat, as you can kind of, I don't know how well you can see it in here. I'll try to bring it a little closer if it focuses. Maybe not. But yeah, they're not perfectly flat. Let's see if I can get the focus here. But yeah, they're not perfectly flat. They're flat on like the bottom and then they round out over the top. So I'm assuming the rounded out part is supposed to stay on the outside. So what I'm gonna do real quick, if that decides to focus again. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably just time lapse this to show me putting these in, because I'm gonna have to undo my entire shoe, place these in here, and then go from there. You know, I did say I was gonna time lapse it, but I'm probably just gonna kind of talk to you guys while I do this. But yeah, it's kind of convenient that I came across this. It was actually right when I was debating about going back to skating Jessup. My intention was literally just to throw my shoe back on my shoes and kind of just skate like I used to. And then I happened to find these guys. I can't remember if it was somebody that shared something on like a story or if it was just like a suggested, like a recommended thing on Instagram. But I saw them pop up and I liked a couple of their posts and stories, like not like anything out of the ordinary. But then they actually hit me up and asked me if I wanted to check these out. They'd be willing to send me a set of these for free. Now, if I remember right, they should be, I think they're like $10 for the pack of 10, but I'm only gonna do my right shoe. I am goofy footed and I can skate switch and do like switch flips and all that, but I never really tear shoes on my switch foot, so we're only gonna do my right shoe with this video. That way it'll actually kind of last me longer too if for some reason I blow through these, which I don't think I will, because it did say, like, they have things showing that they've been tested by other skaters that flick really hard, and I guess these actually last a while if you're even if you're like skating consistently. So let's see here. Put this on the outside here. So let me move this over. So just so I can kind of get an idea here. Let's see, we're just gonna feed these through the holes here. Now I kind of wondered how that was gonna be with this like thread going through here, because I figured like wouldn't that just rip too? But you can't really see it. I'll try to see if I can show it on here. If I get this to focus, there's like a little groove. So it kind of like is inset, which is pretty cool. I don't know if there's nothing on the back, or yeah, there's nothing on the back of this. So we're pretty much just gonna take a gamble with this. I'm probably gonna do this completely wrong and look like a complete fucking moron doing this, but it's all in good fun. We're just testing something out and seeing how it goes. Now let's say, because I want to be able to have enough space to set my laces through. So I think we'll say something like, let me see here. Something kind of like, you can't really see too well. See if I can move my hand. So just like a small opening. I'm probably going to do it just like that. All right, I was having a little trouble because my fingers are kind of bigger. And I was having trouble getting at the start. So let me just make sure before I start actually putting these in the shoe that this did what I needed it to do. And I hope I did this correctly. I don't know if I was supposed to do this part after having it through here, like feed it through and then tie it. But I feel like it's gonna work either way. But let me just test first. Let me get a shoelace through here just to make sure it's gonna fit properly. And it does, it's actually perfect. So let me go ahead and set these in the shoe just so I can kind of get an idea of what it's gonna look like. All right, I decided to throw my light on my phone while I do this. So I did manage to get the first one through. I'm probably gonna have a little bit of trouble getting the lace through there because I didn't account for the fact that there's a little bit of thickness here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm probably just gonna time lapse me doing the other ones of these and getting them in here and getting the laces in. All right, so I got all the nipples placed. They're all tied, ran through, and I got all the laces ran through. And I went ahead when I made the actual loops, which I didn't realize I must have made an extra one and not realized it. But when I did that, I made 3 little loops inside there. Like I placed my finger in there, went around 3 times just to make sure it was like a sturdy knot. Especially with it like pulling with the laces, I wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna pull the loops out. So I went ahead and did all these. Now there's 6 of them, so I got 4 left over, which I'm just gonna save and put in like the bag that they came in. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these laced up and see how it feels on my feet. All right, I got these guys laced up. I actually had messed up and I had one in here. And for some reason it wasn't even tied, but we got all 6 nipples placed and got my shoe tied. Feels pretty good. Like it doesn't feel different at all having it tied like this. I almost worried if having too much tension to pull back while you're tightening your shoes was gonna like really pull on them, but no, that seems strong. So all that's left now is me getting to finally skate these and try them out, which will be in the same video, but it'll be a different day. So we're gonna go ahead and cut over to the session. All right, so everything that you guys have seen up to this point, I filmed about 3 weeks ago. And my original intentions for this video was to film all that stuff, and then once I finally got to go skate, I was just gonna film a whole bunch of stuff, really put into the test and, you know, putting beating on them and just seeing how they last after like a good session. That really didn't happen because the first session that I had after having those installed, I irritated my sciatic nerve and I was still able to skate, but just certain motions were just uncomfortable. So I didn't really skate as much as I was hoping to. And then I had a second session after that and I was gonna try to film a bunch of stuff. Had to go to an indoor park because it was snowing pretty decently outside. It was too wet and covered. I wouldn't have been able to skate outside anyway. And the park that I went to, there was actually quite a bit of people at it, so it was kind of hard to navigate and find certain areas that weren't gonna be like overly packed. But it was one of those things where I'm sure you guys might have had this before too, where you go somewhere, you pick the least crowded spot, and then you start having a session, and then just somehow it's like everybody just tunes in and they want to go to that area too. So I've had a couple sessions since installing them. Now, a couple of the clips, if you've seen my last short that I uploaded where I kind of teased that I was going to do a review on these, you'll have already seen the first couple of clips, but the indoor clips you wouldn't have seen unless you follow me on like Instagram and TikTok. But I'll show you guys those clips real quick, and then we'll get into the actual review. Alright, so I wish I would have had more skating, but like I said, it was just a couple sessions where things didn't really line up the way I was hoping to. But either way, they do what they're supposed to do, and I was able to get a little bit of skating in. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and review on this. Now, there's not going to really be a whole lot of like pros and cons, like that kind of discussion with this, because obviously this product is just meant to be like a precautionary thing to help save shoelaces. So it's not like you're gonna feel a significant difference while you're skating. It's not gonna affect the way you flick. It's not gonna affect how your board feels or how your shoe even feels. Not really anything like that. So there's not gonna be really anything for me to bring up as far as that goes. But I will at least talk about what I've seen after those two sessions and my general thoughts on them. Now, I will say after those two sessions, I do notice some wear and tear on them. Now, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but I'll bring it pretty close. These two definitely have a little bit of wear on them. This one's definitely starting to flatten out a bit, but these ones aren't really touched that much. And obviously these ones are worn down the most because those are from where I was doing ollies and where my shoe kind of hits. But yeah, other than noticing that those two have kind of worn down a little faster, but again, I do kind of kick and flick pretty hard when I do certain things, so I kind of had a feeling that might happen to me. But they're still good. Like they're still gonna last a good handful of sessions. Now the other thing, even though like they're wearing down a little bit, the nice thing with these is like if you start to wear down a couple of them, if you're like hesitant that one of them's gonna break on you or you're gonna wear through them pretty quick, you can always just take them out, like unlace, take these out and rotate them around. So any ones that haven't been touched, you can cycle those out and move them around so that way they get like the full use out of them. And the other thing too is compared to doing like the shoe glue trick or super glue, which funny I say that because I got shoe glue here, but that's because I use it as a toe cap because again, I flick pretty hard. So I do a makeshift toe cap to make sure my shoes are gonna last. But the nice thing is this isn't something where you have to, after a couple sessions, you keep reapplying it, or when you get a new pair of shoes, you reapply it again. This is one of those things, as long as these are still good, you can cycle them around as you need to. If you get a new pair of shoes and you still have these, you can just take these out, put them in the new shoes. And as long as they're still good, you don't really have to reset them up. As soon as you do the initial tying and setting up the loops for the inside, they're good to go. So you can just put these in the next shoes, lace them up, and they're ready to go. So really the only downside I see is the longevity of them. But like I said, this is just from a couple sessions where I was like really trying to beat them up as much as I could. And I haven't really worn them down too much. And even if I would have worn this one down, I still have 5 other ones. I can rotate them around. So, I mean, you can definitely get a lot of use out of these, and they definitely seem to do the trick. You don't even feel them while you're skating, while your shoes are on. There's no actual difference other than when you look down, you see them. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about these other than just, it would be cool if they found a way to make a material that lasted even longer. But I mean, it's kind of inevitable when you're using traditional grip tape and you're flicking that hard and that often. It's it's gonna start rubbing and wearing. You can't really avoid that. But if there was a way they were able to find a material that would last even longer and wouldn't wear as quick, that's really the only other thing that I could think of. But otherwise, they do really good and they're not uncomfortable. So, I mean, if you guys do want to check these out, and, you know, I apologize, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with these, but again, they don't really affect the way that you skate. It's just something to help save your shoelaces. But if you guys do want to check these out, I will have a link for these in the description below. Like I said prior, they're only about 10 bucks for a pack of 10, and you also get a cool sticker with them too. But I'll have a link for that in the description below, as well as the Instagram handle for the Instagram page if you want to go follow them too and keep up with them. But other than that, that's it for my review for the Skate Nipple. I do recommend these if you're looking for something different to try and if you're just sick and tired of ripping your fucking laces. But that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video with whatever we do next.